Mthethwa was called to answer questions relating to the MARIKANA tragedy, where 34 striking miners died in the hands of the police. Under the spotlight is the role he played on that fateful day. Well, joining us from our Cape Town studio is Advocate Paul Hoffman. He is the director of the Institute for Accountability. Advocate, thank you for being with us and welcome to the program.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your viewers so early in the morning, Leanne.
All right, now, Advocate Bezos alluded that he encouraged police to be trigger-happy. We're talking about the police minister. Did the minister's statement fight fire with fire, encouraging the police to shoot at the time?
Well, what the minister has said, according to the press reports that I've seen, is that he accepts responsibility for what happened there, which means that the issuing of hard ammunition and the use of hard ammunition on the striking miners is the minister's responsibility. But that's hardly news. I see that the New Age has as its very smallest report on its front page that the minister accepts responsibility. Now, that's not surprising because that's exactly what the Constitution requires of him.
Yeah.
The question is whether the minister is going to accept ministerial accountability and whether the cabinet of the time is going to accept collective responsibility for this great tragedy which lost the lives of 34 miners who were shot down by policemen using hard ammunition in a crowd-controlled situation.
In a situation like this, where as you're reading in the article, that the minister has accepted responsibility, what happens now? I mean, it's an admission. It's, I suppose, something that the Commission has been looking for. It's found it. And now?
Well, from responsibility flows accountability. And accountability is a much misunderstood concept in South African law. The question that George Bezos very correctly asked is, are you going to accept liability for what happened? And accepting liability for what happened means improving the lot of the mine workers who were striking for better pay, improving the living conditions of their families, which are atrocious. They live in squatter camps. They use the second kopje where the second lot of shooting happened as an open toilet. They are expected to survive on very small wages when the mining companies pay astronomical salaries to their top staff and huge dividends to their shareholders. There has to be something wrong when the people who are doing the hard work to mine the platinum are actually getting the shortest end of the stick and are made to live in circumstances in which they get themselves into debt, they don't have proper facilities in their homes, they're not properly housed, and their working conditions are as dangerous as they are. And quite apart from that, there's the question of the state now being saddled with claims for damages flowing from the fact that wives and children have no income anymore from their breadwinners who used to be rock drillers and other staff on the mine that was involved in the strike action.
In your experience, do commissions like this ever help to bring forth the necessary answers and closure?
You're so cynical, Leanne. It's true that commissions are very often used as a place to park a political hot potato, and this particular political hot potato has been parked for 2 years, and the Minister of Police, instead of being held to account as Minister of Police, has now been shuffled off to another rather irrelevant portfolio where he will probably say, look, this has got nothing to do with me anymore. I'm not the Minister of Police. He's now arts and culture. But this is the same minister who sees nothing wrong with the taxpayer paying for the security fence around his holiday home in northern Natal. There is a complete failure of accountability in the South African cabinet at the moment. It's not only NATHI Mthethwa, there are other members of the cabinet. I see General Beki and Chedi, who's now Mr. Shoot to Kill, is back in politics and calls himself the Deputy Minister of Agriculture today. Really, what is needed is a better appreciation in the corridors of power as to what accountability means. You have to justify the decisions that you take, you have to explain your conduct, and then take responsibility. Having done that, it's not just enough to say, well, I'm responsible, I was the minister, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
That is the problem that we're facing.
All right.
There is a lack of political accountability.
We have to leave it there. I know that there's so much more to talk about, but Advocate, thank you for taking the time. Thank you very, very much for being with us here on the programme. Advocate Paul Hoffman is the Director for the Institute of Accountability. We're going to talk a little bit more about that story with Nazin Tambimir, our SABC reporter who's covering that story.